Greetings everyone, this is Rambling Collector here, and welcome back for another Warhammer book review. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll have seen that recently we did a novel review of the book Lords of the Lands from the Old World franchise of Warhammer. But for this one, we're going to be once more diving into the 41st millennium with this little collection, Blood of the Imperium. So, a little bit of fun little backstory here. I was actually reading both Lords of the Lands and Blood of the Imperium side by side with each other, which is why we have this one coming out so soon after finishing Lords of the Lands. But honestly, this little collection just highlights why I love little anthologies like this. But let's get started, shall we? So first and foremost, this little collection provided a very fun and diverse collection of short stories from multiple underutilized factions within 40k, featuring point of views from the Sisters of Battle, the Orcs, and the Tyranids as more prominent standouts, as well as introducing a unique Space Marine chapter known as the Tome Keepers. Now, I know that Space Marines are utilized a lot within the 41st millennium, or at least within the 40k franchise, to a ridiculous degree. But it's those rare little snippets of other chapters that we get that are always standouts for me, especially the Tome Keepers with their unique heritage of recording their personal diaries, their personal stories, and adding them to a vast collection within their chapter, which to me, that is honestly an amazing way to both remember your history, as well as give all of the unique Space Marines something that is an aspect of their character. And it's one of the reasons why I love the various chapters of Space Marines. As much as I love the Legions of the Horus Heresy, the chapters more or less in their own unique characterizations can be really fun to read, which is why I really need to look into more of them. But I believe I've got enough of a library there to see, and I think you all will be very surprised. But I always see this where the Orcs, the Tyranids, and the Sisters of Battle are very underutilized in my personal opinion. Now I say this as I'm currently reading a Sisters of Battle omnibus that just recently was published, and I am enjoying every second of it. And the Orcs and Tyranids, though, I see the Orcs as antagonists more often than not than I do see them as point of view characters. So this one was a nice little change to see even one short story of theirs, such as Pain Boys by Mike Brooks, which was a lot of fun to read, especially watching the Orcs deal with the Dark Eldar and their insanity compared to the Orcs. Now that is not a combination that I thought I would want to see more of, but this just gets me more and more excited for the fact that I currently have the Big Daka within my collection, and at some point I really want to do a whole Warhammer video on just all the different alien races and some of their books. Anyways, moving forward. Now, I definitely enjoyed seeing more of the Tyranids in action in this collection, showcasing just how terrifying they can appear to an average human soldier compared to a Space Marine, as shown in two short stories, Starstruck by Denny Flowers and Blood Harvest by Richard Swan. Overall, I can count that there was about 3 major Tyranid stories within this collection, which was definitely a nice little surprise. We see not only the Tyranids, but also the Genestealer cults and how they function within the galaxy. And one of the reasons why I love short story collections like this is because they provide a great chance for other factions to achieve the spotlight, rather than it being the mainline story of Space Marine versus Chaos or Astra Militarum fighting somewhere else in the galaxy. It really helps this whole entire scenario feel much wider and bigger than it can feel sometimes. But overall, these little things always provide one of the greatest strengths of 40k. With how big the galaxy is, there's always a new story being told. Now with the Sisters of Battle, I really enjoyed some of their stories, especially for them. Seeing how they fight chaos was definitely a lot of fun, especially seeing in one particular short story where they were actually confronting a small team of word bearers. That is not something I really thought I would see a lot of, where we see the Sisters of Battle fighting the word bearers, but honestly, I can see it. 2 rival fates clashing against one another with fire, flame, and sorceress and faith. I loved it, every second of it. And frankly, this just inspires me to really pick up more of the Sisters of Battle omnibus I've picked up recently. but also, once again, the Big Daka, which is going to feature Orcs and Dark Eldar. That's definitely going to be a lot of fun. But anyways, let's move on. So, bit of a random thoughts here. I will say this particular short story collection was a little bit slower, but that is more of a me problem with my reading speed having slowed for a bit, at least until recently. But the more I dove in, the more I wanted to see from this little collection, almost to the point that I really didn't want to see it stop. But going back to the Tome Keepers though, I am not gonna lie to you guys, the moment I kept reading this one, I wanted to hear more about the Tome Keepers. Their unique culture, where they came from a human civilization that did not live past 30, and so they were recording their own personal histories to pass on to their next of kin to be able to keep their story and history of their world alive. It was actually pretty interesting, and I'm not going to lie to you. Seeing how similar they were to the Necrons in their personal history, it was kind of fascinating to draw that little comparison. But more than that, the Tome Keepers, I initially thought were going to be word bearer successors or like hidden word bearers, but nope, they were Ultramarine successors. But having them fighting against the word bearers was definitely a nice little surprise. And also, I see the little nod there. Two rival factions with books for personal sigils. That was actually kind of funny when I think about it. But again, not gonna lie, I actually want to paint either a small army or even a kill team for the Tome Keepers. I love the look of them. I went ahead and looked up their aesthetic later on after reading about them. They have a really nice little aesthetic to them. But the Sisters of Battle, I'm definitely psyched to read more about, especially because I love their whole thing of just persevering through their faith, trying to even juggle questions of it, when sometimes they aren't going to be at their greatest moments. Because let's face it, this galaxy is not exactly an easy thing to live in, and seeing some of the horrors that you do, you might have questions about your faith as well. But I love the diversity of character here, and these collections are what I love the most about Warhammer. Beyond just the major series, beyond just the one-off character novels, this is one thing that I do love, is the short stories. It really expands the entire tale of 40k and really makes the galaxy feel more lived in, and that there's more going on than just the main plot lines. There's always these little branches, these little stories that all interconnect in some way, shape, or form. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. But, anyways, I think I've ranted on long enough. Let's get on with the overall score, shall we? So, for Blood of the Imperium, I would rate it a high 10 out of 10 for the sheer variety of short stories, the different focuses they provided here, as well as giving the other factions within 40k a nice little spotlight. I definitely enjoyed this one, and I think you all might too if you're looking for either a short story collection or just something fun to read, featuring things such as alien invasions, groups of faith going at one another, or even just wanting to see some unique characters. I would definitely recommend this collection. Now, if you are curious, I have a playlist here of some of my other 40k or even just Warhammer rambles here, which I will leave at the end of this video. Or if you want to see some of the other books that I have covered, please feel free to check out the playlist here at the end of the video as well. I want to thank you all again so much for listening. It really means a lot to me. If you've stuck around to the end of this video, feel free to leave a like, comment your thoughts on this collection down below, and subscribe if you're curious for more. This is Rambling Collector, signing off for now, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day, fellow readers.